Welcome to Planet MicroCap Showcase Virtual 2022. I'm your host, Robert Kraft, and now presenting at our event is Tom Wittenschlager. He is the CEO and director at AYRO. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is AYRO on NASDAQ. Tom, take it away.
Hey, thank you very much, Robert, and good morning to all of you. We're going to be talking about the electric vehicle business today, so I'm going to take you through a couple perspectives on how this business works. First of all, I'd like to start with the customary forward-looking statements. I think most of you are very, very familiar with the nature of forward-looking statements, so I will leave it to you to read those on our formal presentation. But pushing ahead a little bit about AYRO, the company was founded in 2017. We're headquartered right here north of Austin in Round Rock, Texas. What we do is we design, produce low-speed electric vehicles that minimally impact the spaces they traverse so that they can be used in a great many places, including, by the way, indoors. These are purpose-built, innovative, highly customizable low-speed electric vehicles, and they're really aimed at the last-mile delivery, the micro-distribution, and the campus or facility marketplace. They're ideal in environments where speeds are limited to 35 miles an hour. They're ideal indoors or outdoors, anywhere exhaust fumes may create an issue or anywhere where weight creates an issue. In terms of the company profile, we've recently announced the release of our new model year, the Vanish, the model year 2023 refresh of our low-speed electric vehicle platforms. We have had 3 consecutive quarters of cost reduction while developing, by the way, the new AYRO Z platform and recognizing record revenues. So that's been quite the challenge. We have a very, very seasoned management team with established performance history. The average age of our senior team is 61 years old, and the team has more than 200 years of cumulative relevant experience. Last but not least, we've now filed and have pending 2 new design patents, multiple underlying seminal patents in sustainability, 4 U.S. utility patents, and 2 additional U.S. utility patents application process in process. In terms of our public position, our stock price as of the end of November was 59 cents. We have 37 million shares outstanding. Our market cap is 24 million with a cash and marketable securities on hand of 58.9 million. We have no debt, and our fiscal year ends the 31st of December. Our current cash runway takes us in excess of 3 years. In terms of the leadership team, we've got 2 Annapolis grads, 1 West Point graduate. We have our VP of Engineering, who started out 45 years ago as a tool and die maker, and our chief engineer, who comes from companies like TRW, ZF, Honeywell. And overall, our management team is extremely experienced and is a group of guys that have been doing these kinds of things for more than 3 decades. So fundamentally, what does a company seek to do? We seek to represent true sustainability in an all-electric low-speed vehicle fleet that gives our customers near infinite payload reconfigurability while embracing technologies that maximize efficiency and allow those vehicles to traverse environments without disturbing them, and more importantly, without damaging them. Finally, in terms of how the company has evolved over the past year, the company has pivoted in 2023 to a product family that's really an American-built, North American-sourced product line. So we do have some sourcing that comes from Europe, specifically Northern Europe, but we will be one of the very, very few electric vehicle plays in the world that are American-designed, American-sourced, and American-built. Our target market segment straddles that range between a converted golf cart and a small pickup truck. So that hybrid market allows both sides of that market range to be addressed or cannibalized, with the key differentiators really being lightweight, very high payload capacity, payload reconfigurability on the fly, low cost of ownership, and modern technology upgrades. So fundamentally, the idea of our platform is because the payload is so reconfigurable, a single vehicle can be used for multiple purposes, or it can be shared between businesses, with one business having a payload in, say, the morning or lunchtime of the day, and a completely different business having a different payload later in the day. That reconfigurability combined with a very, very low cost of ownership makes for a very interesting play in this space. The target market itself is the low-speed vehicle market. And the projections on that market, if you believe projections, and for the record, I don't, but it's projected to grow from 8.9 billion in 2021 to 14.4 billion in 2027, having a compound annual growth rate of 8.2%. The stringent emission standards and lower costs of electric vehicle ownerships are shifting preferences for that last mile, that short distance delivery towards these low-speed electric vehicles. And we also expect a number of factors to cause this market to increase in demand. That includes things like the rising elderly population, commuters, students, and government fleet seeking mobility solutions beyond automobiles, and the drive towards lower greenhouse gas emissions in the United States. Arguably, increasing applications in the last mile food and cargo delivery space, including micromobility, campus environments, arena environments, even environments in marinas, for example, where you have floating docks and you can't put heavy vehicles on a dock. All those factors come together to make this space somewhat interesting for a very lightweight, very reconfigurable, very capable low-speed vehicle. This hybrid segment that you can see here that falls between full-size electric trucks and small electric utility carts is kind of interesting, because you'd like to have the capacity or approach the capacity of a full-size electric truck without having the limitations of small electric utility carts. And what we're doing in bridging the gap between full-size trucks and small electric utility carts is to build a platform spanning that, bridging those two segments with a vehicle that is built to automotive OE standards. And that's very unusual, and that today doesn't exist in the space. Just to clarify questions that have come up before, what we're talking about is our 2023 model year refresh. And it's very important to note that of our past vehicles, we've already built and sold over 300 vehicles into the marketplace. So we're not a startup that's unfamiliar with vehicles. We're just a startup that is pivoting to an American designed, American built, North American and European sourced platform that will be both a technology leader, a performance leader, and a reconfigurable or utility usage leader. Our 2023 model year refresh includes a core platform, which is a flatbed. And on that flatbed, a utility configuration can be made, a food delivery configuration can be placed, a landscape configuration can be placed, a mobile mechanic configuration can be placed. So the idea is we start with a common chassis, and we have these highly reconfigurable payloads that allow that common chassis to be used in a plurality of ways. In terms of a historical perspective, I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that one of the motivations for our business pivot was that the Trans-Pacific shipping costs have risen by 700%. The Port of Long Beach has been problematic in terms of the time it takes to get through there. It does, at this point, remain somewhat bottlenecked. Our import duties are steady at about 27.5%, and the quality of components coming from overseas, and specifically from China, has been kind of unpredictable and volatile. So it just has made sense to us to do a pivot to North American sourcing and, of course, to European sourcing. In terms of the elements of that pivot, fundamentally what we're doing is shifting from an offshoring to an onshoring model. We're moving from outsourcing to insourcing. I've already said that we're maximizing North American and European content, minimizing the Trans-Pacific supply chain, for all of the aforementioned reasons, not only because it's become painfully expensive, but it's become painfully slow. And we're reinvesting the savings from those logistics, the Trans-Pacific logistics, we're reinvesting those into product development, product technology refresh, and product capability. We will, at that point, credibly meet federal and local Buy American requirements, and that will mean that we will emphasize, in addition to all of our commercial applications, We'll also take a hard look at the GSA schedule, GSA channel, as a way of providing a solution that meets sustainability objectives. Our factory startup is well in hand right here in Round Rock. Once a factory is up and running, we will report that to the street. At this point, we're getting all of our capital equipment in place. We're building first articles and mules. We're testing them locally on our dynamometer, and we're preparing we're preparing assembly lines, both for the vehicle, for the payloads, and for subcomponents of both. In this picture, you can see our early mules in test. You note that a mule is sitting on the dynamometer. Obviously, testing the electric propulsion system of an electric vehicle is a really big deal. You might note also in this image that we have designed our own custom wheels and tires. We designed those fundamentally to minimize unsprung mass, so that this vehicle, again, on the performance side, will have performance that's unheard of in the low-speed electric vehicle space, with a proper suspension, proper wheels and tires, proper center of gravity, and proper systems engineering. Our channel partners include Gallery Carts in Denver, Colorado, and Element, our fleet management partner. Element has over 1 million vehicles under management, and we will be working to add our new 2023 model year fleet to their list of choices of vehicles that they offer their fleet customers. Gallery's been our food service partner for quite some time. They do an outstanding job, and that relationship is expected to continue. In terms of IP, patents, and trademarks, I mentioned we have 2 design patents pending, multiple underlying patents pending, utility patents pending, and applications in work. The fundamental thesis of our intellectual property is twofold. One is unique design in terms of reconfigurability. And the fundamental premise of our underlying seminal patents are a confluence of technologies, methods, and applications that allow a vehicle to traverse a space without damaging it. So what we're fundamentally after is an electric vehicle that can be safely used in resorts, safely used in golf courses, safely used indoors, safely used in any environment where a vehicle trouncing around causes concern about damage. That fundamentally is the premise of our underlying IP. Those patents have been filed. We have additional ones in preparation. So at this point, we have 2 design patents and 8 utility patents in process. In terms of trademarks, much the same. The names are taglines. The vehicle names themselves have all been submitted for trademark, and that process is proceeding very, very well. So in summary, where does the company sit today? Well, we're sitting on $55.5 million of cash. The company has no debt. Our runway exceeds 3 years. We have a highly seasoned management team of average age of 61. This is a group of people that know how to build things. That's the real message to take away there. We've had 3 consecutive quarters of cost simultaneously conducting a major product line development while still keeping those costs down. Our new platform is configured with tremendous technological upgrades, operator aids. The ergonomics are outstanding. And of course, it is designed not to damage any environments that it traverses. Our new vehicle release is expected in the first quarter of 2023. Our key channel partners are Element Fleet Management and Gallery Carts, and our IP position looks good. I'd be delighted at this point to take any questions.
Absolutely, Tom, and thank you so much for your presentation just now. So my first question for you, and I'm asking this to every company that's presenting here at the event, we're managing through tough markets right now. What measures is the company taking to manage some of these macroeconomic pressures currently affecting most microcap companies across the board?
Well, as you say, it is a very, very interesting time. And I think what we're doing is we're pivoting smartly every time we sense that there is something that we need to be concerned about. Obviously, the Trans-Pacific supply chain is a big deal. And when I first got here and I looked at it, I said, good Lord, this is just extremely risky. There's a lot of volatility, not just in the supply chain, but there's volatility in the logistics. There's volatility in getting from Long Beach here. So we kind of looked at it and said, you know what, we don't want to be hostage to Trans-Pacific shipping. We'd rather be hostage to transatlantic shipping selectively and hostage to North American trucking, which seems to be a little less risky. So that was the first thing. The second thing was we started with a good cash position and we've been working to preserve cash. When it's all said and done, cash is a wonderful insulator to uncertainty. And so we're being very, very mindful what we spend money on. And we're being very mindful in reusing every investment we make. So our overall strategy, Robert, towards that end is to invest once and use many. So what I mean by that is when we invest in a new motor controller, we're going to use it on all our platforms. When we invest in new wheels and tires that have very low unsprung weight, we're going to use those in all our platforms. That's our philosophy in everything we're doing. So it's an invest once, use many. And I think it's a pretty decent way to hedge risk in an environment as volatile as we're seeing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, as you mentioned in your presentation, you have a completely new 2023 line with this new pivot, not just moving everything North American, European to sourcing all the materials, but now you have this one truck platform that has multiple different use cases. What's the rollout marketing strategy for this completely new line?
So there will be separate channels to market. So first of all, we will establish a presence in a state where direct sales are allowed. So direct internet sales of vehicles to a consumer. That happens not to be true in Texas, which means we'll be establishing a beachhead in a state where it is allowed, a state such as Florida, for example. And so that'll be one channel. There'll be a direct channel. Then there will be a channel to market that goes through the traditional dealer network. And then there will be a channel to market that goes through upfitters, resell. That's where, for example, our gallery relationship, galleries in the food service business, the fact that they upfit the vehicle with their unique high value food service platform is an example. So we'll have a direct channel, we'll have a dealer channel, we'll have an upfitter channel, of which gallery is one example. There are many others. And through that, we believe that we'll be in a reasonably good position to reach the market very, very efficiently. And efficiently is a big deal.
Absolutely. And where are we currently at right now in terms of production lines? As like we've been talking about, as you mentioned, you're going through this pivot. Have all the production lines, everything been updated so that you're ready for commercialization? So
the answer is no. The production lines are being stood up. What we're doing right now is we're building first articles and we're testing them. So we're testing the first articles for purposes of homologation. And so we're going to have to take this vehicle. Obviously, we'll have to certify that it's governed to 25 miles per hour. We're going to have to crush it. We're going to have to crash it. We're going to have to roll it over. And numerous other things, but you get the idea. So fundamentally, we're going to get through all of that. And once we're through that, then we will make our final tweaks to the production lines. So again, a production line for the platform itself, a production line for payloads, and a separate production line for any customization or TOO, time of order options. So all of that will happen right here in Round Rock, Texas, in our facility here. So fundamentally, we're standing up, we're preparing for homologation, we're preparing for testing. Once we're through that, we will flip the switch and then go to production tooling and start building production product right here.
Absolutely. And look, from what you can tell us, I know sometimes this can be moving targets, right? So when you flip the spigot on and everything, but I mean, from what you can tell us, I mean, do you have any guidance as to when you think that production line, everything ready to go for commercialization?
Sure. Well, look, let me tell you what we've already told the market. And it's important to understand that this vehicle is comprised of 500 discrete subassemblies. So in order to build a vehicle,
you need all 500.
So if I get 499 in, it's interesting, but I can't build a vehicle. I need all 500 of everything. So I think a lot of people don't realize just how hard that is. It's super hard. All that said, we are building first articles now, and we expect certainly to have, let's just say, the first slug of production vehicles pop out of the factory in the first calendar quarter of next year, which is not that far away. And we expect to transition to proper low rate initial production, or LRIP, late in the first quarter, early in the second quarter. So those are our targets. And I have no reason at this point in time to believe that we can't make those. But again, I only caution one thing, and that is, again, you need all 500 parts to build a vehicle. And if for whatever reason, a handful of them don't show up in time, it impacts your production. Once we're up and rolling, we'll have tremendous predictability. But we're in that ether right in between first articles and launch of LRIP. So we expect it to go reasonably well, but I only caution that when you're doing something at this level of difficulty, there is some uncertainty associated with it.
Absolutely. My final question for you, because look, I've done a number of interviews with in the microcap space, some EV producers or folks that are developing vehicles. What's been kind of the feeling amongst the investor audience when you've done a number of these events, you've come to our events before, what's been kind of the feeling and the vibe amongst investors when thinking about this, and the time to market, and just everything involved?
Well, I think the investors have been appropriately cautious in what they see and what they hear, as I would be, by the way. The dilemma we have in the electric vehicle space is there's a lot of people who talk about doing things, and there's a much smaller group of people that actually accomplish things. And so because there is so much white space between people who let's use the term, who are aspirational in nature rather than people who are pragmatic in nature, the investors are properly cautious. So I think it's on us to demonstrate that we can execute what we've said we're going to do. It's on us to show people what a proper electric vehicle looks like and what an appropriate technology deployment looks like. And it's on us to demonstrate to investors what not spending money looks like. And so when we accomplish those things, they'll understand why I'm so proud of the fact that all my senior guys are in their 60s. It's because they've been doing this stuff long enough that they know how to do things. They know how not to spend money, and they know how to build very, very unique platforms. But we haven't earned that investor trust yet because we haven't done it. So as soon as we do it, I expect the investor trust to come with it. Today, we're in the show me phase appropriately, and we're conducting ourselves accordingly.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, firstly, thank you for your candor with that. That's extremely refreshing, and I appreciate your presentation here today. Thank you for everybody watching and participating. Thank you for watching as well, and enjoy the rest of the event.